The Cotentin Peninsula, also known as the Cherbourg Peninsula, is a peninsula in Normandy that forms part of the northwest coast of France. It extends northwestward into the English Channel, towards Great Britain. To its west lie the Channel Islands and to the southwest lies the Brittany Peninsula. The peninsula lies wholly within the department of Manche, in the region of Normandy. Geography. It is part of the Armorican Massif and lies between the estuary of the Vire River and Mont Saint-Michel Bay. It is divided into three areas: the headland of La Hague, the Cotentin Pass, and the valley of the Serre River. It forms the bulk of the department of Manche. Its southern part, known as Le Marais, crosses from east to west just to the north of Cotentin and Les and marks a natural border with the rest of Manche. The largest town in the peninsula is Cherbourg on the north coast, a major cross-channel port. Other towns of note: Valognes, Barfleur, Briquebec, Barneville, Carteret, Beaumont-Hague, Les Pierres, Rufay-du-Puy, Montaubourg. The western coast of the peninsula, known as the Côte des Isles, faces the Channel Islands. Ferry links serve Carteret and the islands of Jersey, Guernsey and Alderney from Dialet. Off the east coast of the peninsula lie the island of Tatty-Hou and the Isles Saint-Marcoux. The oldest stone in France is found in outcroppings on the coast of Cap de la Hague, at the tip of the peninsula. Cotentin was almost an island at one time. Only a small strip of land in the heath of Lesay connected the peninsula with the mainland, thanks to the so-called ports afloat which close at flood and open at ebb and which were built in the west coast and in the Baie des Vases. On the east coast the Cotentin has become a peninsula. The Côte des Havres lies between the Cape of Carteret and the Cape of Granville. To the northwest, there are two sand dune systems, one stretching between Souville-Hague and Vauville, the other one stretching between Cap of Carteret, Les Moitiés de l'On and Bobigny. To the east lies the Baie de Seine, with the Baie des Vases lying to the southeast of the Cotentin Peninsula. History. The Veneti and the Ossami, the Celtic tribes who inhabited the Cotentin, were known as the Veneti and the Ossami. The Ossami territory corresponded broadly to the modern French department of Finistère, whose name in Latin, Finisterre, means the end of the earth. The chief city was Vorgium, modern Carhaix. The Veneti were a seafaring people who inhabited Brittany in south-central Bronze Age Britain. The modern city of Vannes takes its name from this tribe. Most of the peninsula was most likely occupied by the Ossami, with the Veneti occupying the tip when it was an island. The Veneti strongholds were all highly defensible fortresses built to be accessible only at high tide, so land attacks were prevented because the incoming tide left too little time to gain access. If threatened, Veneti naval forces would evacuate to another fortress. The Veneti conducted limited cross-channel trade for millennia, as wheat was imported 8,000 years ago into Britain. At about 150 BC, the evidence of trade with the Thames estuary area of the UK dramatically increased. Other ancient Celtic peoples historically attested in Armorica include the Reduns, Curiosilitai, Essubi and Namnites. Until the construction of modern roads, the peninsula was almost inaccessible in winter due to the band of marshland cutting off the higher ground of the promontory itself. This may explain occasional historical references to the Cotentin as an island. During the medieval warm period, the sea level certainly rose and it may well have been an island then, as sea level changes of 20 meters are reported for the English Channel. Since the formation of the Armorican Massif, Brittany has intermittently been raised and lowered by geological forces. Roman Armorica. The peninsula formed part of the Roman geographical area of Armorica. The town known today as Coutances, capital of the Uneli, a Gaulish tribe, acquired the name of Constantia in 298 during the reign of Roman Emperor Constantius Chlorus. The base of the peninsula, called in Latin the Pagos Constantinus, joined together with the Pagos Corovelensis centered upon Cherbourg to the north, subsequently became known as the Cotentin. Under the Carolingians it was administered by viscounts drawn successively from members of the Saint-Sauveur family. At the seat Saint-Sauveur on the Douve. Medieval history. King Alan the Great of Brittany waged war successfully on the Norsemen. As the result of his conquests, the Cotentin Peninsula was included theoretically in the territory of the Duchy of Brittany. After the Treaty of Compiègne with the King of the Franks, the Dukes of Brittany suffered continuing Norse invasions and Norman raids. Eventually the Cotentin Peninsula was lost to Brittany after only 70 years of political domination. It became part of Normandy. Meanwhile, Vikings settled on the Cotentin in the 9th and 10th centuries. There are indications of a whaling industry there dating to the 9th century, possibly introduced by Norsemen. They were followed by Anglo-Norse and Anglo-Danish people who were established as farmers. It became part of Normandy in the early 10th century. Many place names there are derived from the Norse language. Examples include La Hague from Hagi, meadow or enclosure, and La Zouk from Hor meaning a hill or mound. Other names are typical, all those ending with tot from topt, site of a house, beck from becker, brook, stream, etc. In 1088 Robert Curthose, Duke of Normandy, infoffed the Cotentin to his brother Henry, later King Henry I of England. Henry, as Count of the Cotentin, established his first power base there and in the adjoining Avranches, which lay to the south, beyond the River Thar. During the 100 Years' War, King Edward III of England landed in the Bay of La Hogue, and then came to the church of Cathau in Val de Serre. It was there that Edward III knighted his son Edward, the Black Prince. A remembrance plaque can be seen next to the altar. Modern history. The naval battle of La Hogue in 1692 was fought off Saint-Vaast-de-la-Zoug near Barfleur. The town of Valognes was, until the French Revolution, a provincial social resort for the aristocracy, nicknamed the Versailles of Normandy. The social scene was described in the novels of Jules Barbey d'Aurevilly. Little now remains of the grand houses and chateaux. They were destroyed by combat there during the Battle of Normandy in World War II. During World War II, part of the 1944 Battle of Normandy was fought in the Cotentin. The westernmost part of the D-Day landings was at Utah Beach, on the southeastern coast of the peninsula, and was followed by a campaign to occupy the peninsula and take Cherbourg. Economy. The main economical resource is agriculture. Dairy farming is a prominent activity. Along the west coast, renowned vegetables are grown, such as the carrots of Créances. The renowned trademark floret was created in Lesay. The region is also famous for its shellfish culture, notably oysters from Saint-Vaast-de-la-Zoug and Peru, and the production of alcoholic beverages like cider and calvados made from locally grown apples and pears. The region hosts two important nuclear power facilities. At Flamanville there is a nuclear power plant, where the second European pressurized reactor in the world is being constructed, with commissioning delayed to 2016 or later. COGEMA La Hague site, a large nuclear waste reprocessing and storage complex operated by Raverency, is located a few miles to the north. At Beaumont Hague, the facility stores all high-level waste from the French nuclear power program in one large vault. Nuclear industry provides a substantial portion of jobs in the region. The roads used for transport of nuclear waste have been blocked many times in the past by environmental action group Greenpeace. Local environmental groups have voiced concerns about the radioactivity levels of the cooling water of both these nuclear sites, which is being flushed into the Bay of Beauvais. However, the emitted radioactivity is several orders of magnitude below natural background levels and does not pose any hazard. There are two important naval shipyards in Cherbourg. The state-owned shipyard DCNS has built French nuclear submarines since the 1960s. Privately owned command builds frigates and patrol vessels for various states, mostly from the Middle East. Tourism is also an important economic activity in this region. Many tourists visit the D-Day invasion beaches, including Utah Beach in the Cotentin. At St. Mire-Église, a few miles away from the beach, there is a museum commemorating the action of the 82nd Airborne Division and 101st Airborne Division. The Cité de la Mer in Cherbourg is a museum of oceanic and undersea subjects. The main attraction is Redoutable, the first French nuclear submarine, launched in 1967. Culture. After quitting political life, the political thinker Alexis de Tocqueville retreated to the family estate of Tocqueville, where he wrote much of his work. Due to its comparative isolation, the peninsula is one of the remaining strongholds of the Norman language, and the local dialect is known as Cotentin. The Norman language poet Curtis Capel described the environment of the peninsula, while French language poet Jacques Prévert made his home at Aumonville-le-Petit. The painter Jean-François Millet was born in the peninsula, as well as Alain Leprest, a modern French poet and songwriter. Guillaume Fouis, from Réville, a painter. The Norman language writer Alfred Russell, native of Cherbourg, composed many songs which form part of the heritage of the region. Rosel's song Sus la Émieux is often sung as a regional patriotic song.